Bingo, everyone. This is Acid Roots. We've got the 8 Mile soundtrack to talk about. So, first off, if you don't know what I'm talking about, Eminem starred in virtually what is his only movie. That's 8 Mile. He's in the starring role. It's just about rap and the murkiness of trying to come up in a backwater or muggy place like Detroit. The only reason why you'd think it was backwater is just because it's rather, just it's murky. It just has real kind of danger. So the subsequent album, you probably know this album alone for the song Lose Yourself, which if you don't feel like sifting through this, it's also on Curtain Call. And there's a number of other things that it's on. I think it's on Shady 15 as well, so you can actually find the song in numerous places. But Eminem is a man who is on fire, and I felt as if distinguishing this just because I actually am fascinated when rappers get into movies and then it boosts their career rather than lowers it. And so with this movie, there's people who will do films and they'll take time away from music. But Eminem managed to release music that the same year that he did this. So it was really extensive and I'm proud of it. But more importantly is just Eminem's networking ability because he had a number of budding people who were on this album, two of which are 50 Cent and Obi Trice. So both of these guys were on Shady Records, and it just is like it's almost a big rundown of who Eminem is working with at the time. So it might as well be called Eminem and Friends, but at the same time, it's not necessary. I mean, the problem with it is we'll talk about it. So, can you smoke to this? The answer is yes, you can. And so the songs that you can are Rap Game, Spit Shine, Places to Go, Rabbit Run, and 8 Mile. These are a good batch of songs to smoke to. The production is handled well for the most part. I mean, I think the only thing people are going to complain about is just the fact that there's not hit A-list people consistently. And I will say that 50 Cent was new back in 2002, and he's welcome, and so is Obi Trice, but really, this was Eminem's show, and I don't have anything against these other people who I'm not really going to mention, but the songs just don't stand out that well. Jay-Z doesn't do a very good job, and I don't think Rakim does. There's just it just doesn't really fit. That's the thing is we needed some people who were kind of living not necessarily. I mean, all these people probably had a life like that, but similar to what Eminem was going through, and it feels as if Obi Trice was one of these people. Considering I think he's from Detroit as well, and we just needed people who's just are Eminem's kin, and it just resonates that way. So, which turns out to be the big strength and weakness. So the four songs that I liked on this album, there's 16 songs, and I like four of them. First one is 8 Mile, which is by Eminem. It's the third song. Second one is Rap Game with D12. Third song is Spit Shine with Exhibit, and fourth song is Rabbit Run with Eminem. So all four of these are worthwhile, but there's a series of almost songs that I wanted to talk about, and you'll hear the reasons why. So Lose Yourself and Love Me are almost songs, but the problem with it is they kind of blur the line between commercial rap and beneath the radar stuff. So obviously, I'm sure most people are fans of Eminem have heard "Lose Yourself," and the song is just so worn out. It's not even. I mean, you really have to take your time from listening to this because I just don't see how people can still be playing this song on the daily. So that obviously it's a worn out song, but it's still good. So you just have to kind of mix it in and decide when and where you want to play it. So that's the reason why it's not a hit song, is just because of its date. Wangsta with 50 Cent is another one that did this, but I'm trying to avoid commercial rap on my channel, and so obviously, this song is a hit, but really, I think a lot of people blew out 50 Cent just like they did Eminem. So we're looking for more songs that are kind of, they feel sneaky and dim, as opposed to just glossy and, chipper. And so, 50 Cent, if you know his background, he really had a triumphant march through rap, and it just isn't, it doesn't really quite fit this album that much. But I think, his come up years, the beginning of what he was doing, probably does. So that leads me to the other almost song, which is by 50 Cent, which is Places to Go. And this one is pretty much the fifth song that I like. And I mean, it is, but if you think of how many people who listen to Tech Nine, how many juggalos, how many people listening to 3 6 Mafia every day are gonna say, they fuck with 50 Cent. That's kind of the reason why I'm not. So it blurs the line, but there are songs that 50 Cent has done that are probably worth checking out, and this is one of them. And then the last song is Love Me, which has Obi Trice and 50 Cent. So Obi Trice did not quite nail it, even though his introduction, he's one of Eminem's kin, and just the problem is that I really felt like the production didn't match his song, and he's only on one other song, so we didn't really get to see. We knew that 50 Cent was going to get somewhere, but he didn't quite nail it on the head as well as 50 did. So Love Me is kind of the second song you hear, so what's going to happen is I think a lot of people just went to this album and just looked for the songs that Eminem was on, and it's just overheard once again. So it's kind of slinky, but at the same time it's kind of not. So it just, most of the songs that Eminem on are kind of in between commercials. So those 4 songs are the ones you need to look for. And so I do not really recommend this album, but I do recommend that you look at the songs and take time to decide if these songs that I've mentioned to you are worth checking out, because there's at least 8 that should be on your radar. So I'm going to give this album a 3.5 out of 10, and I would give it a 4, but just if you like those 50 Cent songs, probably give it a 4.5 out of 10. But the future, I mean, there is none, because this was a one-time movie. There's no sequel. Is this album social? I will give it a 5 social, just because Eminem is on fire. He establishes relationships with people that, can and do light the place up, and also the Exhibit song's really good. So don't forget about Exhibit. I've mentioned him in a vlog of mine on this channel. He doesn't really slip, and I'm glad for it. But we just needed a few more people. Maybe Snoop Dogg would have been good on this album. I mean, obviously Dr. Dre is not here, but we just needed a few more people, like Proof, someone like that could have made a direct song. Tech Nine, just could have used some more of Eminem's kin. But about half the album has it. So can it be top? Yes. This review has gone on. Subscribe for more fun. I give this album a 3.5 and a 5 social.